Hang on, hang on. Before we get started, can I just say something? Thank you for actually setting the clock both times I've booted up the game. A lot of people don't take that step seriously. They just leave the clock set at 12 and call it a day. But you're actually taking the time to set the clock, and I appreciate that. That's how I know that you care about your experience. I don't even have any way of knowing if the times you're setting are correct. Tell you what, I'll make you a deal. Since you've been so cooperative, next time you boot up the game and see the screen, just set the clock to your favorite time. Go ahead. Pick whichever time you want, even if it's not the correct time. You've earned it. Alright, I'll let you get back to the video game now. What the fuck? Ah, you're a good boy. You can follow instructions, and I like that in a man. You're a good boy. Oh, okay. So chat, today we've got a couple games on the go. I'm going to be trying to do some more horror games today. Hopefully. It was kind of a mixed bag the other day. Some of the horror games weren't very good. Some of them were, at the very least, interesting. Doesn't this background noise remind you of every single job you've ever worked at? Just a sound of people going about their day, doing things and stuff. Ah, oh, fuck, chat. Think about that things. Think about that stuff. Good times. Good times. I was never one for the things and stuff, though. Yeah, I had to be very in the mood for it. Sorry, I'm actually doing a bunch of shit behind the scenes right now that you can't see. I don't mean to be a pain. I would just, I'm gonna smoketh. I'm having a small smoketh. A Canadian smoketh. Not that nicotine bullshit. Chat, don't smoke at all. In any way, shape, or form. Don't smoke. Whatever you're thinking, whatever you want, don't do it. It's not a good idea. Your body gets all weird. You start to transform. Ugh. Oh, I'm here. Ugh. Ugh.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Yes.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley.
Forever.
Something he would never quite forget.
Never.
He had been...
Oh shit, I clicked the button.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting.
Did you do this, chat?
Perhaps he had simply missed a
What did you do to everyone? The new content. It's too much pressure.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
I don't want to go into the new
stop
content.
by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
It's a beautiful lounge.
Yes,
it is a
truly
beautiful
room
lounge.
Worth admiring, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Okay.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided
Tips
to go
for not
up
getting
to his
fired.
boss's
Talk
office,
less.
hoping he might find an answer there.
Do unbelievably how to solve a dispute with a coworker. Let it ball up inside you. Take it out passive aggressively on other coworkers. Resent coworkers for not supporting you. Using slides to assure employees that everything is okay. Make sure your slide has a thick blue graphic on the header and throw some bevel on the text. This will ensure a calm and productive environment. Everybody is unique. You most of all. Number of slides on this slides. Number of slides on this slide. Or do you want to get rid of the death sport portion in the primary review schedule? Rate at which charts on... Jesus Christ. Broom closet. Chat, broom closet.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here.
Broom.
So he turned around and got back on track.
Broom closet. Broom. Closet.
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow. Just an empty broom closet.
Broom closet.
No reason to still be here.
I like it in here.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
Broom closet.
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
I like the tape and stuff.
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
Broom. Broom closet.
Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite." I hope your friends find this concerning.
Did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite. It really is, though.
Stanley was fat and ugly and really, really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Why are you doing this to me? You're doing me dirty like this.
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They've fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
What if I go downstairs? Uh-oh. This looks bad.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy.
Wait a minute.
And then something occurred to Stanley.
This is looping.
Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream.
How?
So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Nope, still here. Nice try, though.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Oh, shit.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Well, holy shit.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I want to try going upstairs.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
It's the first time I've ever listened to him.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley, yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
The hell? I can't see anything. What's my boss doing, chat? What has our boss been doing around here?
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door
The
of
mind
red
control
mind
facility.
control facility.
Or escape.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
That's not true. It can't be true. How would I meet a violent
The
death?
door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
No.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
How am I going to possibly die? What's that? Well, shit.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws.
What?
In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
What?
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
An alter to make sure the player reaches the two doors in a good time. The set of the two open doors was the very first concrete piece of the Stanley Parable's design. Once this room was created, the rest of the game emerged as an extension of it, an exploration of the contradiction this room posed. This is neat, chat. We found like a little developers area. Nature paintings. They're not wrong. Chat. Stanley's computer. The blueprint shows the office from the beginning of the game. The path from Stanley's office to the doors was the first part of the game that was built. Sections have been added and altered throughout development, so the core layout remains almost identical to the first iteration. These are filing cabinets, chat. You ever seen one of these bad boys in real life? Office computers. Very good. The office. Button sounds. Selection of the sounds used throughout the game when buttons are pressed. Each sound is a mix of a keyboard stroke and a synthesized tone. There's the credits. But who cares about any of these people? Boss's office. The lounge. Underground. An early version of the underground portion of the game.
They're throwing a surprise party for him for all his button pushing. Then he pushed the number 4. Does that sound plausible to you?
The narration. Kevin Brighting. Or Kevin, I'm gonna call him Kevin Brighting. The voice of the narrator recorded dialogue for the entire game roughly 3 separate times over the 2 years of development. These are clips from early takes that were not used in the final game. Is that you?
Pushed the big red button.
The lounge. I like when games do stuff. Turok had a thing at one point that was like this, where you could go through and look at everything from the game. I like these little museums, these like game museums you can walk through. Maintenance room. See what we got here. Money. Well, the thing I wanted to know is, what would you do if Stanley entered any other rooms? Were you born with the voice, or did you buy with permission to receive it? Regarding an ongoing promotion here as a result of the title attached. Congratulations, be the first to apply. Well, I don't know what to talk about. Narrator emails. After the second trailer, we sent out and asked people to email the narrator questions. We had initially planned to use these for the promotional materials, but we never found the perfect use for them. Yeah. What do we got here? One option. Obey, disobey, lounge. Would be hidden based on how you entered? Way to maintenance lounge, 2 doorways to maintenance. The hell was this supposed to be? Zending model. This room represents the 4th version of the ending, and we thought it was complete, but decided to abandon and change it again shortly before launch. Zending. What the hell? An early version of the ending known as the Zending, which was eventually cut and merged with another part of the game. I've never seen that before. These others were originally part of the Zending. Huh. What was that? Countdown desk? Why was it doing that? It turns off when I get close to it. It's kind of eerie walking through here with everything so quiet. Oh, chat. I felt a little miserable this morning. We've had some very late days. But you know what? I'm really glad I'm here with you.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
I turned it off.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another?
Oh, shit.
No, perhaps not.
Oh, no.
Sometimes these things cannot be seen.
Oh, no.
But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail.
What?
Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else.
Press quit.
Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't.
I did it. Begin the game.
This is the story of a man.
Do you
All
think?
of his co-workers were gone.
Do you think
What
she's
did it
okay?
mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Do you think she's all right?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way
There's a
to the
vent
meeting
somewhere,
room, and
apparently?
Stanley knew it
Or was that like
perfectly well.
a option they
Perhaps he
had,
wanted
but
to
didn't end
stop
up
by the
doing.
employee lounge first, just to admire it.
I don't
Wow.
think there's any vents in here.
Yes, this room.
Nope.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Lip.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
There we go. Want to make sure I'm not missing anything here. Can I enter this room? The executive bathroom, huh? Money in the morning, money in the evening, money for breakfast, money crisp. Extreme bathrooms. This guy's bathroom sucks. So this is where you shit, huh? Nice shitting room you got. That's pretty good.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy. So he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Oh no.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Well, chat, I do feel more soothed after that. I'd be lying if I said I didn't. Oh, big stretch. Oh. I feel like I'm still waking up.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
It's the room from the Matrix.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen. And Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
That's cool. So what's the deal with this?
No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it
Ow, my nose is so dry.
Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
It's fixed.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
5. I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing, chat. 1, 2. And there's one up there. How do I get that? Looks like there's stairs here. Oh, but they're blocked by something. Oh, this sucks. I can't see anything either. Well, I've got 1, 2, and 5 is here. 1, 2, 3. And that must be 4. Oh, we got 5. What the hell is this ladder going down to? Really nothing down here? Fine. And the walkway over. It's just a walkway over. Well, I'm leaving then. I'm going to the power room. Mind control's idle, awaiting input.
And when at last he...
I turned it off, chat.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty.
I hate those.
Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away.
Open door.
Even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold?
It's just growing.
But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or
What the hell am I coming out of?
whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Good job, chat. We got a happy ending.
All of his co-workers were
Now
gone.
let's go check out that new content. The
Stanley
new
decided
stuff.
to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Yeah. Real exciting, you say? I'm in. I swear, I'm still waking up. I need to like stretch my legs or something.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how wildly disappointing this Ultra Deluxe version has turned out to be.
Oh, look at that tum.
Stanley Parable. any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this Ultra Deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2.
I'm just gonna quickly go give the wife a kiss. Love you too, 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 love you too. The Stanley Parable 2!
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions?
Yes!
New territory will cover with a
Yes!
full-fledged sequel. An entirely new
Yes!
experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking
The
for.
Stanley Parabola.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them.
Yes, of course, of
It'll
course.
all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific. Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
We've already seen the name button. We did that yesterday.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people.
Jim.
So with that... Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of
Jim.
course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role play as Jim to really simulate the full experience
refuse this
of
time.
feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim.
I'm Jim now.
Jim.
Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim.
Jim.
All right, fine, whatever. It's just a meaningless button that says Jim. Are you happy now? Get out of here. I'm done
Jim.
with this button. Why don't you go humiliate me in front of a different feature that I worked very hard on?
You worked really hard on that? I'm sorry to hear that.
Maybe I'll only let people named Jim play this. An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it will go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
Infinite hole. Settings world champion. A free, new, and easy achievement. I can't believe it's that simple. Pull the lever, receive your new achievement. No more steps, it just
Now,
works.
here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes, okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproarious gamers. We hear you, and I promise it will happen. What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet? You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's a... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle?
Yes.
Oh, well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece, then.
You're really not going to give me any more jumps? Wow, man. You're a real asshole, you know that? I need the reassurance bucket.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I am happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try. Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well?
Wow, man, you're so
I think
fucking
that
nice
just
to me.
holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
Thank you.
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on
I want this one.
Someday.
So I'm going to choose this one.
Happy 12th birthday. Which would you go with? You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Happy 12th birthday, step-niece, it is.
That's what I wanted.
Or actually,
that's what I actually wanted.
Maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision. We're moving on.
Opening rim depth. This is the super
Stanley,
hole, huh?
Here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is, in fact, a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium. You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things. Okay, Stanley, I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me? Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready. Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you... Oh, for heaven... You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. Not normal. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there. Goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of... Oh. Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time? I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly,
I still love
this.
this.
An infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above. Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where... Wow. Okay. Yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability and marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is. The shame of my lie has come to haunt me. How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on.
The teleport button's not working.
Is the teleport button not working? You sure? Well, I mean, I really don't have an explanation. It was working just a moment ago. Try it again.
It's not. It's not working.
Nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else. Take care, Stanley. I hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest of eternity together.
It's just a hole in me, huh? Hello? Oh, Chad. It's happening. I've been accepted into a new order. I belong to the whole now, Chad.
Stanley? 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 Oh, good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodle-pip.
Is it beginning again? Is it beginning again? Is it gonna take me again? Huh?
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
Okay, well, we're not touching that again. Most infinite hole, we did all that. Collectibles, I don't need to go in there. That way. Collectibles.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement.
There's an exit this way.
Right there.
It says...
It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential. All right, have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
I believe so. What the hell is this?
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience.
Oh, God.
Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding,
Jesus
Stanley?
Christ.
This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2." Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
I like it. I like it a lot, chat.
This is the story. All of his co-workers were gone.
Happy 12th birthday,
Stanley
Stepnies.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley picked up the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
I'll allow it.
And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Stanley and the bucket. You can't forget the bucket. That's right.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes.
The bucket always guides my path.
Explanation.
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done.
It's not really good enough for me.
You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines. The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
Okay, that's what I need to hear. That's what I need to hear.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
I love how it's Stanley and the bucket.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
We're gonna die in this place, chat. I can sense it.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter, his one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
It's true. Bucket won't do
Here
you no
was the
wrong.
proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life.
Wrong.
So he
I
and
will
the
now
bucket
be the one
would
in power.
dismantle the controls. But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly, silly birds. The control buttons became active again. Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
That's my favorite one.